RX93.1 presents Heard on Thursdays, the iconic radio talk show that made Philippine FM radio talk. Winner of multiple KBP Golden Dove Awards. Your host, JC Tevez.
Hey, good evening, monsters. What's going on? Happy Thursdays here on Heard on Thursdays. JC Tevez here with you for more hot conversations here on Heard on Thursdays, the show that made Philippine FM radio talk. And it's now, of course, on Facebook Live. To all the Facebook Live viewers who are slowly filtering in, hello to all of you. But if you want to join us, we are live on Facebook as well as on YouTube and Twitch, facebook.com/RX931. How are you guys doing? Hope you're all cool, even if it's still MECQ, which is like more ECQ or maybe ECQ. They teased us with GCQ, but then they took it back, right? So we're in MECQ right now. Nothing's really sure these days, wouldn't you say? Correction, there is something that is, maybe there is something sure, which leads us to that famous saying in the world, nothing can be said to be certain except for death and, yep, you guessed it right, taxes. Yes, good times and bum times, even in pandemic times, people will come and go, and you will be taxed in one form or another. In the end, you have to pay your taxes, right? It's a hard reality, especially for fresh graduates who are still struggling to find their footing in the world, and for workers and professionals in this very uncertain time. Our guest here tonight is an expert on the subject of taxes. In fact, he's called the Philippine Tax Whiz. He's here to talk about dealing with taxes and perhaps to reassure us that, like death, it's not something to be afraid of if you deal with it right. You may even realize that your taxes work in your benefit. Yes, for you. He was on the show 2 years ago, right here in the studio, to talk about his book, Iwas Buwis It. What to do when tax attacks. We welcome him back tonight in the comfort of his home to guide you fresh graduates on the personal taxes you have to be aware of, and to give his views on the hot topics of taxing social media influencers, taxing cryptocurrency, and taxing play-to-earn activities like, Axie Infinity. Heard on Thursdays, the Philippine Tax Whiz and Chairman and CEO of ACG, the Asian Consulting Group, Mon Abrea, popularly known by his nickname, Mon Abrea. Let's welcome him to the show. Mon, good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, JC, and to all your listeners, magandang gabi po.
Hello, Mon. And of course, we have our phone lines open later on, 863-19393. Or if you want to join us on live, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, you can comment on there. We will see the comments here on the stream if you have any questions for Mon. But in the meantime, let's talk. Welcome back to the show, Mon. It's been 2 years. It wasn't me when you were here the last time.
Yeah.
But thank you.
No, you were absent.
I was absent. Yeah, I know. So at least now we're meeting.
Probably you were traveling.
Maybe so. So Mon, first of all, welcome back. And I always ask this to all my guests before we dive into taxes. I know we have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions personally. But let's get to know more about what's up with you. What have you been doing during the last few months during the pandemic?
Zombie. It's all Zoom meetings. Zoom.
Zoom. Okay, Zoom.
Yeah, but when the ECQ was first lifted, I started traveling every weekend. In fact, in our company, we started applying the flexible work arrangement. And in my case, I only report every Monday. Then usually Wednesday to Sunday, I am out of town. I rent a resort, private house for vacation, either with my family, friends, or sometimes by myself. So those were the times that I enjoy. But now we're back to what, MECQ? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm glad that you're, at least during this difficult time, you're still able to find some enjoyment. So that's good news. And of course, we want to get to know you. Although some of our viewers, and I know you already have people know you, a lot of people already know you as the tax whiz of the Philippines. But I'm sure there's still people who are listening or maybe watching right now who it might be their first time to see you and actually get to know you. So how did you end up becoming known as the tax whiz of the Philippines? Like, what were the steps? How did you start, and how did you end up to where you are now?
Well, number one, I used to work with BIR. I am a former BIR examiner by accident, not by choice, because at
Okay.
that time they wanted to study the tax system, the corruption. Why is there corruption? Why are people not paying taxes? So I was asked if I want to take on the challenge to study the system by becoming an examiner. So for from 2019 to 2010, I was actually a BIR examiner. So that started it. And right after I left BIR, I started advocacy. In fact, JC, we did a school caravan all over the country, and the caravan is called Vat Ganon, Bakit Ako May Tax? Because we
Ah,
wanted them to, we really wanted them to understand that why we are paying taxes. You know, there are biblical sources, or historically, the people are really being asked to pay taxes and they don't really like it, diba? But I
yes.
think it doesn't change much up to these days, diba? So, but
Mm.
we have to understand, we have to make them understand that it is our civic duty, especially for newly graduates, diba? If we really want to make progress, then we have to contribute something.
Got it, got it. And I love the name Vat Ganon, because
But
yeah, especially, I mean, that's something that we can tackle in a bit about, VAT, non-VAT, all these categories that people fall into. But let's just get to the heart of the matter for all the fresh grads listening right now who just heard you and said, oh, well, maybe should I pay taxes? What can you just tell us? What is why do we have to pay taxes? Why should we pay it? And what is it like? What's going on with the taxes? What is it used for? Because especially now, there's a lot of clamor online about where our taxes go. So there it can be disheartening for for people who are paying and then not really seeing what's happening. But to you, as someone who is the tax whiz, what I mean, why it's our civic duty? But what else do you think? How can you convince everyone out there like we should be paying our taxes correctly?
yeah, you know, I think the clamor really, or the issue now, is that we want honesty, we want good governance, we don't want corrupt people, we hate graft and corruption. But you know, in as much as we hate it, we have to take the high road. We have to be better than them. So we have to pay our taxes. We have to give our share. Otherwise, we're no different. The
Mhm.
corrupt people are taking the money of the people. Those who are not paying taxes are depriving those who should have received services or should have benefited from the taxes that should have paid. So I guess it's not really the amount of money or taxes that we pay, but the fact that we are contributing, that we are diligently or honestly giving our share. Parang ano lang yan, in a family, everyone has to take some share.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the father or the mother will have difficulty. So in our country, we cannot just expect a few to pay taxes. Everyone should have a share. And it doesn't matter how much. It depends on how much you make and how honest you are. But it's really important that we give our share. So I hope
Yeah.
it's really the value of honesty that the youth should really look into, rather than
We might have lost Mon due to technical difficulties, but in the meantime, if you're joining us, feel free to join us on Facebook and YouTube, as well as on Twitch TV at RX931. We have Philippine Tax Wiz Mon Abrea joining us tonight. So right now, in the meantime, we are talking about, well, taxes. Should you pay tax? And we have Mon back here. Hi, Mon. The challenges of
sorry,
the
sorry.
and
We need to improve. Yeah, I'll pay more taxes. Let's improve the internet service.
I was about to say. So Mon, I mean, thank you for sharing your insights into that, and I mean, you make a very valid point. It is our civic duty. We should, it's what we should be doing to share. It's our responsibility as well, and it's a good jumping off point to what I wanted to talk about. Especially during the pandemic. During the pandemic, Mon, were there any new taxes directly that affected consumers and income earners that maybe we might have missed? That's something that we should be aware about, or maybe exemptions from tax because of the effect of the pandemic. Is there anything new in that regards?
Well, actually, during the pandemic, there were a lot of tax relief measures. Aside from the fact that BIR extended deadlines to allow taxpayers to pay their taxes given the lockdown, there were also amnesty that was implemented. Amnesty meaning those who failed taxes in the past will be able to pay their taxes without interest and penalty. And that was extended
We'll pick up from where Mon left off with the internet. But in the meantime, remember you can follow us online, facebook.com/RX931. If you know we are on live on Twitch as well on YouTube. And you can send in greets and questions to Mon Abrea. We are talking to the Philippine tax whiz. Let's have him back in the studio. Hi, Mon.
Sorry.
No worries. So you were saying when it comes to things that have changed. So the BR they extended their deadlines, but what else happened during the pandemic?
The amnesty was also implemented, and in fact, given the extended quarantine, estate tax amnesty was further extended up to June 14, 2023. And a lot of us inherited something in the past, but like the title of the lands were still not transferred to our names, and that will be imposed penalties. But with the estate tax amnesty, it was waived by the government, and instead of paying up to 20% estate tax, we will only be paying 6%. So it's actually good news, not only for the old people, because most of the heirs are the young ones now. So we have to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And of course, the best news is for startups, for those who are earning 3 million or and below, under the Create Law, which is one of the tax packages, instead of paying 3% percentage tax, you can now pay only 1%. So imagine that 1% na lang quarterly. So this will really encourage startups and small taxpayers to really comply and pay with their taxes.
That's great, and you're throwing out a lot of words that I'm sure business owners are very comfortable. They understand. Oh yeah, this is good news. This is good news. But for a fresh grad who just listened to you answer that question, they're like, "What is this guy talking about?" So let's start with the bare basics for anyone who is maybe gonna be entering the job force. So the mga fresh grads, for example. What are the things the first things, the most simple, bare, basic things they have to know about paying taxes? Is there like do you have a rubric or something that you tell to people who are like, Mon, I want to learn how to pay my taxes? What do you say to them?
Well, JC, the very first is to really secure their TIN number, their tax identification number. That's the very, very basic, which they can do online now. Just visit the BIR website. The second thing is, if you will not be receiving 21,000, above 21,000 salary, you are still exempted from paying income tax. Therefore, you will be receiving your monthly compensation tax-free. That is under the train law. So, I mean, it's not all bad news.
Yeah, 21,000 per month, correct? Not for the
Yes,
whole
per
year.
month.
Okay, so if you make
Or
less than 21,000, you don't have to pay taxes.
Yes, or 250,000 a year.
Okay, and that's only from one source of income, or is that all sources of income?
All sources, as long as you
All.
don't exceed 250,000 pesos income, you are
Mhm.
exempted under the train law.
Are there any other exemptions besides the train law, the 250,000? Is there anything else that you are there? There's a term that gets thrown around a lot that I've heard, but I don't understand. Maybe you can explain to us, what are tax write-offs? Is that a thing that happens here in the Philippines? I know some people buy expensive artwork to write off. I don't know. Can you explain what that is? That whole situation. What is that? What is a tax write-off?
Well, I think you're referring to tax credit or
Tax credit.
tax
Yes.
reductions.
Mm.
Well, for businesses or even professionals, when if they are VAT registered, they can really reduce their VAT payment when they make purchases or investment as to their equipment or cars or anything that they will be using in their business. There's also a VAT component there, which you can use to reduce your VAT payment. So it doesn't mean that you need to pay 12%, that you'll be paying exactly 12%. As long as you have invoices, that's why it's important to ask receipts. As long as you have invoices, you can reduce your VAT payment. But going back to exemptions, during the pandemic, well, actually, it's part of Bayanihan too. Importation of anything related to COVID, mask, shield, or medicines, they were all exempted from VAT, income tax, and excise taxes. That is under Bayanihan too. But that's
Mm.
only from June to December last year. So at least there were tax relief extended to us.
I see. I see. Okay. So you mentioned the word that I've never understood, even though I've been saying that I'm non-VAT for blank amount of years. What is VAT, Mon? What is VAT? Why are some people non-VAT? Why are some people VAT? What is that?
Well, it's a business tax that we pay to BIR. If we are earning 3 million and below annual revenues, we are non-VAT. We don't pay 12% VAT, but instead we pay 3%. And as I mentioned earlier, JC, under the Create law, because of the pandemic, instead of 3%, we can pay 1% only for the next 3 years. That is a tax relief given by the government. But if we are making above 3 million annual sales or revenues, that's the time, JC, that we will be paying 12% VAT or value added tax.
I see. Okay, so note to self: either make 3 million and pay taxes, or less than and pay less. Parang ganun.
Yes,
That's what I
exactly.
understand. Okay,
Yeah,
very good.
the more income you earn, at the end of the day, the more taxes that you pay. So it's a choice. Do you want to make more income? Then you have to be ready to pay more taxes.
Okay, makes sense. Are there brackets that extend past the 3 million? So let's say you earn 3 million, you get the, what is it, 12%? You said, but is there
Yes.
more, like 5 million? You get taxed more at
No.
7 million? No. So everything
No.
past 3 million, everything is 12%.
12%. Yes.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's something that I just learned right now. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that. It's really
Yeah.
something that is covered in schools, unless you take it as a profession, or unless you take a specialized course, or you really plan to do this as a profession. Mon, what do you have to say about teaching taxes in school? I mean, learning how to do taxes, because not everyone learns how to do their taxes, unless they go into accountancy or maybe even business. But people who take English or science majors or STEM classes, maybe they didn't learn how to do taxes. How come that's not really something that's focused on in education, early education?
Well, honestly, JC, I think what should be taught in school is not the technical side of taxation, but at least to prepare all of us, to condition us that as citizen we need to take part. This contribution will be very essential, because the computation really is something that you would either forget or not really understand. As a graduate, as an accountancy graduate, JC, I'll be very honest with you. I can't even remember the passing a single quiz. And every time that I'll be called in recitation, honestly, I would stand the whole period. I couldn't answer any of the questions because it's tax code. It's like the
Yeah.
entire tax code, and you will be asked from chapter 1 to chapter 10. It's like, what? So if our teacher, who's a tax lawyer, would ask me, and I start answering, he would just reply, not acceptable. I open my mouth. Not acceptable. I won't open my mouth anymore. I won't respond anymore. So, and during midterms and finals, I couldn't write anything because it's like, well, how do I? There's so many numbers. There's so many provisions of the law, and I
Hmm.
couldn't even remember the tax table. So it was so hard. It was so hard. That's why when I
Wow.
went to BIR, that's one of the realizations I've made. It's too complicated. Even if you are a saint and you want to be honest, it's just so hard to understand it. That's why this ongoing tax reform is very important, because other than lowering the tax rates, they started simplifying it, which is important. Otherwise, it will be really difficult to pay your taxes. But now online facilities are there, lower
Mhm.
tax rates, and a more simplified processes. So I am encouraging everyone, especially the young ones. If you heard from your parents that they hate taxes, don't listen to them anymore. Try to change our generation or
Love
even the
tax.
next generation.
Yes.
Try to
So,
be
Mon,
more responsible.
yeah, when it comes to getting employed, let's go back once again to fresh grads, because that's I'm kind of viewing this interview as a fresh grad as well, because I still don't know a lot about taxes, and even though I've been in the workforce for a long time, because it's always been someone else handling my taxes, either the company that I work for, or I have an accountant that I pay to do everything for me, because I don't, like you said, I didn't want to deal with all the numbers and all the number crunching and all, and understanding all the laws and whatnot. So, just a question: whose burden does it fall upon when someone gets hired by a company for the taxes? Does the company usually handle all the paperwork in that regard? If you make past the 21,000 per month, like you mentioned.
Well, the good news is actually, JC, for employees, generally, if you only have one employer, meaning one source of income, you really have you won't be doing anything. because the company will make sure that they withhold your taxes, meaning when you receive your salary, it's already net of your taxes.
Net of your
All you
taxes.
have to do is at the beginning of the year, January to February, you have to secure your BIR form 2316. It's the proof of the withheld taxes para may katibayan ka how much was
Mm-hmm.
actually withheld from you. That's your contribution to the government, to our country. But
Mm-hmm.
you didn't pay it directly. It's your employer who took care of it. And you don't
Okay.
need to file any return as long as you only have one employer and one source of income, then you are qualified under substituted filing tax system. So you won't be doing anything. In fact, you will be receiving 2316, which is like your income tax return.
Understood. Makes sense. At what point, Mon, do you ever recommend that someone get an accountant for themselves outside of, let's say you mentioned that usually the company takes care of the taxes for the most part. That you get your salary net already after they take the tax out. But there are people who get their own accountants. What point do you recommend they do that? Who needs to be getting their own accountant if ever
Well,
they need one?
number one, for employees, you just have to understand it so that the HR or accounting, if they make mistake, you can correct them. You can
Right,
really tell them, yeah, wait, you withheld so much taxes. That's wrong.
right.
But you don't.
Mhm.
But you don't need to hire an accountant. For self-employed professionals and those who are really doing their business, if you are making above 3 million annual sales, which means you have to deal with more compliance, I guess it's the time that you consider. But if it's something that you can do on the side, since there are simplified compliance right now and there are online facilities, it will save you a lot if you will be doing it by yourself.
Okay. Well, all right. So, Mon, let's get into we already discussed. I mean, the very typical situation: fresh grad gets a job. Taxes are usually handled by the employer, and then you just kind of have to monitor how it all works. Now, the question in everyone's minds that's happening right now is because there's also a lot of work that isn't very as a quote unquote typical anymore, where it's not a 9 to 5 job anymore. There are content creators. There are small business owners who sell their products on, let's say, Instagram or Facebook Marketplace. So I already know the answer to this, but all the income you make from those are taxable if you earn past a certain amount. Is that correct? So let's say you have a business on Instagram or Facebook Marketplace, you still have to pay taxes on all your earnings for that, correct? Hello? I don't know if my
Yes,
audio
hello.
is. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry. Were you able to hear my question?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
was able to hear it. It's just choppy, but I was able to hear it.
Okay, I'll repeat it once again, just in case for all the monsters who just tuned in right now. We have Mon Abrea joining us, the Philippine Tax Whiz chairman and CEO of Asian Consulting Group. So, Mona, we already discussed about how most people pay their taxes because they go to an employer and then the employer deducts the taxes and then it's all taken care of. But nowadays, even especially during the pandemic, there was a surge in small businesses. There are people who started pursuing other avenues of revenue. It might be content creation, streaming. OnlyFans is something you might have heard of, right? That the BIR is also taxing now. So the question is, Mon, everything that you earn past that number that we talked about, the 250,000, is taxable, correct?
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay, so the question is, Mon, how is it just a honesty is the best policy rule when it comes to that? For example, selling on Facebook Marketplace, I don't know the paper trail for all these things, but if I were to bake, let's say, some cookies in my apartment, I don't have an oven, but let's say I'm a really good baker and I bake cookies and I started posting on Instagram. What are the rules there? Because I'm not sure. I don't monitor all the cookie Instagram pages that popped up during the pandemic. I don't know how many of them are paying taxes, assuming they earn more than X amount of
Mhm.
pesos per year.
Well, number one, the first issuance of BIR was actually in 2019, 2020, the RMC60 2020, which is actually a reminder for online sellers that you will be treated like the traditional brick and mortar. As long as you start making sales, you are actually required to register. The good thing there, JC, which I would like to reiterate, there are laws that will allow you to save from taxes, meaning that you don't have to pay as much, but you have to register in order to. And that is the BMBE. I don't know if you heard about it, JC. BMBE is
I've not.
Barangay Micro Business Enterprise. This is a
Wow.
registration to DTI, Negosyo Center. And if you register and you secured that BMBE certification, you will actually be granted income tax exemption as long as
What?
your capital or your total assets will not exceed 3 million pesos. I mean, if you will be baking cookies or selling whatever, I don't think you will have 3 million assets. So
Yes,
that you are therefore qualified as an online seller or whatever you do online.
I
Therefore,
see.
what remains, pay quarterly 1%. Remember earlier I told you, if you are making 3 million and below and
Mm,
you are income tax exempted under BMBE, ano na lang ang matitira? The 1% quarterly. I think that is very affordable
I
to
think so too.
anybody who would like to make earnings. And it would be
Yes.
unfair to employees if you don't pay, because employees would be paying their share whether they like it or not, because it's withheld at source. I always remind the freelancers, online sellers, that rather than complaining that you have to register and pay your taxes, think about
Mm,
your parents and the millions of employees who never got a chance to choose whether to pay their taxes or not. I think it's a
mm,
matter of being fair, because you will be making more, much more than employees. So might as
mm.
well pay your taxes. Anyway, there are options by which you will not be paying 12% right away or 30% tax. There are options. It really depends on how much you make. But JC, at the end of the day, you are correct. It's honesty is the best policy because it's voluntary assessment. You declare to BAR how much you earn, and you pay to BAR how much tax is due.
That's true. Okay. Interesting. All right. So what are the other hot topics right now? Well, the let's just start with the one that is on a lot of people's minds. Cryptocurrency, NFT, blockchain gaming, Axie Infinity. There's a lot of panic going on for all the scholars who, I mean, if you listen to our HOT episode where we had Team Arbo join us talking about play to earn gaming, um, let's talk about that, Mon. Do the same rules apply to scholars and our scholars employees? What exactly are is the rules with that with online gaming as well as cryptocurrency?
Okay, I hate to break the bad news, but in the absence of a new law that will cover this new economy or new platforms by which we earn income, then Section 23 and 32 of the tax code will apply, which we already mentioned earlier.
Mm,
Income from all sources within or outside the Philippines, in cash or in kind, traditional or digital, legal or illegal, they are all taxable unless
mm.
otherwise exempted. So, in short, honesty is the best policy. BIR issued another memorandum, which again reminds us that we should register and comply. The
Mm.
good thing there, JC, is the income level. If you don't naman talaga make so much, then you are exempted. And there are
Mhm.
options to really pay less taxes. Unfortunately, for those who are bragging about their houses, their cars, and everything that they have acquired because of their income from these digital platforms, then you are get trying of BIR. Because even if it's honesty basis, the job of BIR is to assess and check whether all of us who are making income are paying taxes. So if
Taxes.
they find out that Mon Abrea, Mon Abrea posted that he has a new car. Mon Abrea
Wow.
posted that he has 3 condominiums. But
Oh
Mon
my.
Abrea did not file and pay any taxes. Then they can just sue me for tax evasion. As simple as
There
that.
we go. Yeah. And actually, that's a good point that you brought up, Mon, because there's so many. I mean, millions of Filipinos, and of course, we're all expected to pay taxes. But of course, there are many who don't. But how does the BIR, since you worked for the BIR also before, how do they pick and choose who to investigate, who to say, maybe nagta-tax evasion si Mon Abrea, we need to see. I mean, are they monitoring your Instagram? Are they monitoring your bank records, your phone, your GCash and PayMaya transactions? How do they, who do they look into?
Well, number one, there is what we call third party information. Meaning, if you purchase a car, JC, BIR
Mm.
can check on the dealer. Who are these top buyers? Who are these who are those who bought condominiums in Rockwell in the port? They can secure that information. Number two, it's asset accumulation. If you bought a land, if you bought a condo, what is your source? If you cannot identify your source, or the
Mm.
source is an income that is not declared with BIR, then obviously BIR can run after you or anybody. So,
Mm.
but the sources, honestly, at this point, it's like a lot. Social
Yes.
media, YouTube, internet. You just Google top influencers, top YouTubers, top whatever. Everything can be Googled, and I don't think BIR would not use that facility because it's also available to them. So
Mm.
it's also a caveat to all of us that if we try to brag about the earnings that we make sure that
Mm.
we have paid our taxes. Because I don't see any problem if you want to brag as long as you paid your taxes. But if you
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, BIR noted that, wait, Mona Brea did not file or pay any taxes in the last 6 months, but he is splurging and enjoying a lavish lifestyle. Then you're
Yeah.
actually telling BIR, come on, investigate me. So at the end of the
Don't
day,
mind me.
we will lose our peace of mind if we
Mm.
don't pay our taxes correctly.
So follow the rules, abide by the law, do your service as you said, or do your responsibility as a citizen to pay your taxes, and you won't be stressed. In short, that's a good way to put it, right? But what
Exactly.
so I have a question, man, about cash transactions. Then there are, well, I mean, as I know, freelancers, for example, that get paid in cash with no sort of trail. So that, once again, does that just fall under the honesty is the best policy rule? Like, hey,
Agree.
they, like, if there is no paper or receipt or anything that shows that I worked for this amount,
Mhm.
uh, so you have to just file it as like. So how do you file that? Do you write it down on like a spreadsheet? How does that exactly? How does that work for people who get maybe paid for cash basis? For mga racket, mga ganun.
Mhm. Well, I don't think they will declare it if it's kaliwaan. I think you're referring to kaliwaan, that you're just given an envelope with the cash, diba? So
Yes.
if they don't ask for receipt because either you're not registered or you didn't really issue a receipt, normally it
Mm.
ends up with the undeclared part of your income. And
Mhm.
again, honesty is the best policy will apply. But if you accumulate so much that it will be detected that you have undeclared, you have more income
Yeah.
not declared, then you'll be in
Mm.
trouble. And I think,
Ah.
JC, at this point, we just have to note that when you don't pay your taxes correctly and you have friends and not so good friends, any one
Mm.
of them can report you to BIR, and they
Wow.
will get incentive for
Oh,
telling that they're not paying. Those two people who are talking now, they are not registered. So if
wow.
BIR check on that, and the that information led to collecting taxes from us, then the informant can be given a reward as much as 1 million pesos.
Wow. So is that what they call a whistleblower, or is that the term used here also?
No, they
Whistleblower.
use informant. They use informant, not whistleblower. Yeah, informant or informer.
Okay. So there could be I mean, for example, there are maybe if someone knows a content creator that hasn't been paying taxes, you could be an informant to the BIR. Wow.
And make
And
money.
make
And make
money.
money.
That might be a good
Exactly.
business.
So
Of course.
so again,
Yeah.
JC, what you will be losing is your peace of mind, because
Mm.
anybody can attack you. And in this world, we know that not everyone will be happy with our success, and with
Mm.
success comes money, income. So at the end
Mhm.
of the day, for our peace of mind, for us to feel good that we are responsible citizens, and even if people don't like us, they cannot just pin us down or let BIR run after us, because I think that will be the saddest part. We've worked so hard, but one day all our income will be taken from us just because we were not able to declare.
Oh yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And another question that I've been asked, or that I've had questions about, is what about gifts, Mon? I mean, there are people who are, well, come from wealthy families. Maybe, let's say, I have a rich uncle who popped out of nowhere and gave me 1 million pesos, right? What
Okay,
is the
what's the name of your uncle? Can you forward the number?
what is the ruling behind that? Gifts given or cash given in kind? What is the
Okay.
tax for that?
Well, I'm somebody who's happy receiving gifts, but for the one who's giving it, we call it donor. The donor will be taxed the moment the gift exceeds 250,000 pesos. Same with income. So if JC will if you will give me JC 200,000 gift pesos, or 200,000 worth of gift, then that is still exempted. I won't be taxed because it's a gift. You won't be taxed because it did not exceed 250,000 pesos. The moment
Mm.
the gift per year, per person, per donor exceeds 250,000 pesos, then he has to pay 6% donor's tax.
Oh wow, that is something that I feel like is not often paid. Am I right in assuming that, Mom? Because I know people who have bought
Hello?
electronics for their. Hello, can you hear me?
And that actually,
Hello, we have a little bit of a network issue once again, but let's see. If, Mon, can you hear me again?
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, just back to that topic. So you
yeah,
said
I
that
can hear you.
if someone gives a gift or receives a gift underneath 250,000 pesos, it's not taxable. However, if it
Mhm.
exceeds that, it you have to pay a tax. But there are many gifts nowadays, especially electronics, that way exceed 250,000 pesos. I assume that tax is not something that is paid very often. I mean, how
Yeah,
many? Yeah.
especially if the gift is a personal gift, something
Yes.
that will be given like in your bedroom and it will be used in your room, so nobody
Mhm.
else will see it or track it down. So yeah, it's the job of the BIR to make sure the expensive ones, those which are really significant, like there are those who are giving condominiums, there are those who are giving cars, then that will be easily detected. And I don't receive those things. I only receive below 250,000 pesos.
Yes. Yes. I understand. Okay. That's interesting because I know a lot of wealthy people. I don't know them personally, but you hear the stories, right? Wealthy people that buy condos for their girlfriend and their wife, right? Something like that. So they,
Is that the same person? Gave
it's
girlfriend and wife? I heard.
uh,
I also heard those stories, and now
yeah.
you know it's taxable.
Okay, now
Okay.
we know.
This is an example detected. Let's say, for instance, I receive a condominium as a gift, and the
Mhm.
condominium in Rockwell is worth 11 million. I receive it. It was put under my name, but
Yes.
I did not earn 11 million pesos.
Yes.
But I got 11 million worth of condo. Then
Right.
BIR will be able to assess me. Hey, Mon, where did you
Uh,
get the 11 million to pay your condo? Then if I
mm,
say it was given as a gift, who gave
yeah.
you? Then the donor will be taxed
There.
6%. Yeah. So
There we go.
it can be detected.
Yeah.
Nothing
So no
can not no
pressure.
secret. No secret
Yeah.
is forever.
So no pressure to the receiver if you rat out who bought you the condo, right?
Well, as
If
long as
you
the donor will admit that
admit, yeah.
he or she gave it, otherwise you will
Right.
be taxed income tax. You will be assessed income tax.
Nice, nice. Wow. So, Mon, 2 years ago, you were here with Rafi on the show, and you published a book called Iwas Buisit. Iwas
Yes,
Bui.
this one.
What to do? Yes, there you go. What to do when tax attacks. So, actually, I was going to ask you, you have a copy right there, but is it still available in stores right now? Where can people buy it?
Yes, it's published and distributed by ABS-CBN Books, and it's available, still available. Very hot copy during Lazada and Shopee sale. It's
Yes.
always it really all stocks really disappear after the sale. But you can still buy if there are open National Bookstore and Lazada, Shopee anytime.
Yeah,
Still
it's still nine.
available.
It's still 99. So baka meron pa.
Exactly.
Not too late. Yeah, just
They
don't buy.
always run out of copies.
Just don't buy 250,000 worth. So hindi ka matax. Right? That's
Yeah,
what I understand.
and we'll be releasing a new book this year
Oh,
to
okay.
include the new rules that were
The new-
the new laws that were passed.
awesome, awesome. Do you already have a title, or is it still under? Is it still a secret project, or do you already have a projection release date, a publishing date rather? And
The title is not yet approved, so I can't. It's like
okay,
no, but it will cover all the updates. So in short, like this book, which is like a magazine, you will
Mhm.
have a more friendly and question and answer type. So it will really be easy for you to use it as a reference because we don't publish a textbook. We publish a
Mhm.
guide, tax guide, something that will be used by taxpayers.
Okay, got it. So it's a very great resource to have for all the questions, and I assume because the way that you put the tax, because I've always had questions about tax before, and whenever I had asked my peers, people my age, they have no answers. But just talking to you for the last 40 minutes or so, I've already understood more than I have in the last maybe 10 years of my life, knowing about taxes. So that book is a great, probably for readers will understand more about taxes than their friends if they read it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you write it with who did you write it and who did you have in mind when you wrote that book? Is it really for professionals, or is it just for the common person, the common man and woman who are, trying to understand the very complicated web of taxation?
Actually, whenever I write an article or when we publish a book, we always think of those who doesn't like taxes, those who avoid, uh, annoyed and avoid taxes. So it should really be that simple, easy with infographics, with colors, so that they will be attracted to even flip or browse the book.
Nice, nice. I like it. I like it. And Mana, the thing that I gathered from our short time together is that you really see I mean, you like to believe in the honesty of every person to pay their taxes. And I respect that a lot. I think that's really great. And actually, you were also a resource person on the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, though, in the ongoing investigation on the Commission on Audit Report, and other issues related to the budget utilization of the Department of Health. So can
Yes.
you talk? Can you talk? What can you share with us? What can you share with us legally? Can you talk about it at
Well,
all?
yeah, sure. Well, tomorrow at 1:30, I will again be called in the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, and I'll just share the analysis of the company who got a contract with the government. So I am not in the position to really tell whether there was corruption or it's illegal, legal. But since I am advocating for honest tax payment, I am now also demanding for honesty also from our government. So
Yes.
I would like to be part of this investigation so that the public would know the truth. That's all. No
Mm.
politics, no vested interest, or I don't even know personally the company involved. So I just got all the audited FS and I was asked to study it. So tomorrow
Yes.
I'll be sharing, and to all my students, and Beda, UANP, and Ateneo, you know me. I always value honesty. And
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll prove to you that competence is not enough. You have to be able to share your values and also demand honesty from other people.
Great, great. Yeah, I mean the company. You said you're not very familiar with it. I think a lot of people weren't familiar with it. So that's I think we're on the same page on that one as well. Mon, let's talk about ACG, or the
Yeah.
Asian
Well,
the Asian. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, because it was newly registered.
Yes, yes.
Because it's newly registered, so you
Yeah.
won't really be familiar with it. So that's why I'll be presenting the facts. I'll be presenting the company background, the financial analysis, why and how they got the contract, and whether they can really afford to transact with the government with such amount. So it will be based on facts, based on the audited FS, not more now. That's what
Yeah.
I'll be presenting tomorrow at 1:30. So those who are listening and you are all following this investigation, so you can watch me tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. And I'll be representing every Filipino, every taxpayer who really work hard and honestly pay their taxes, or even those who were remiss. As long as
Mhm.
we try our best. So this is our fight. We want to know the truth regarding this investigation. I think that's the message.
Yeah, and I think I mean that's something that we have to really. That's something we should be praising you because there are not enough people like you, Mon. I would say in the world. I think there are not enough honest people like you. So hopefully you
Or
serve
I
as a
thought
inspiration.
I thought JC you were saying there are not enough people who are not afraid to die or afraid of death. Since you started with debt and taxes,
Death and
so
taxes, yeah.
I'm familiar with taxes, and I'm not afraid of debt. Is
There we
that what you
go.
want to say?
Yes. Mon, let's talk about ACG. You are the chairman and CEO of Asian Consulting Group, or ACG. What is ACG, and what can it do for the ordinary Filipino taxpayer?
JC, I am very proud to share that ACG was established to fund our advocacy. Remember, I told you after I left BIR, we did the school caravan.
Yeah,
We
the
ran
VAT.
out of money. We ran out of money. Nobody is sponsoring us. Nobody is shelling out money. So we
Mm,
ran out of cash, and we don't want to beg for donations. So we
okay.
started the company to make profit so that we can fund our advocacy. And to this day, we're doing that. So Asian Consulting Group is a tax firm, and it developed the mobile app TaxWiz PH, which is also free, and it helps
Mm,
companies to really pay their taxes. Historically, we know that we
mm,
hate BIR, but actually we bribe BIR examiners. So even
nice.
if there is this campaign to really address corruption in BIR, as long as there are taxpayers who will not pay their taxes and once investigated will try to bribe an examiner, it will not end. It will continue. That bad practice will continue. So our role is to encourage taxpayers to really pay the right taxes, and when they get investigated, to settle their cases without under the table. And for the last 10 years, you see, we are actually celebrating our 10th anniversary this month. And for the last 10 years,
Wow.
we've been very honest. We've helped the government collect the right taxes. We've helped a lot of companies, including celebrities, individuals, and corporations. Name it, even the big brands and companies. We have helped them deal with their BIR cases with honesty and integrity intact. No
Love.
compromises. And we're very
Congratulations.
happy. And we're very happy to share that. And of course, we are able to work with BIR, with the Senate, when it comes to tax reform, with Congress, and with all these business organizations. So, Asian Consulting Group, our commitment, as I've mentioned to our partners, 10 years ago, I made a promise to help you pay the right taxes. And I kept that promise. And to
There
this
we go.
day, we continue to help taxpayers. We have helped a lot of companies already, more than 100 companies already, with huge tax problems in the past. But now they can sleep tight at night. They have peace of mind, and they know that they are paying the right taxes.
Yeah, congratulations on 10 years of doing that, and staying honest, and staying, still having maintaining the integrity that is lost on a lot of people. So thank you for being an inspiration to all the taxpayers, and of course the future taxpayers out there. And the future taxpayers are the Gen Z, and I don't even know what comes after Gen Z. I don't even want to talk about it. But you mentioned on the show 2 years ago, when you were with Rafi, that you were developing the app. So you mentioned the app, that it's up and running right now. TaxWiz PH. It's a free app. How can you invite our listeners to download it, and what they can do, what power they have with that app?
Well, JC, you mentioned earlier you have a lot of tax questions. Now you can just download it either Google Play or App Store. There is a feature there called Ask the Tax Whiz. You can chat us anytime, anywhere about taxes, nothing about love or politics, just about taxes for free. And you will receive a reply daily. That's our commitment. May not be
Wow.
on the right at real time, but daily you will receive a reply daily. and I personally answer questions. That's why I was sharing with Rocky a while ago that I was very happy because we the last 3 months I think we have answered more than 1,000 questions, and these are people who are really clueless, afraid of penalties, afraid of BIR, and after chatting with them, they will also say thank you, we've done it, we've paid it, no penalty, thank you very much, and that is the best gift and consolation in doing this app. TaxWiz PH, it's free. Just
Mhm.
Max, you can also use the tax calculator, JC, if you don't know how to compute your income tax. Just
Mhm.
input your income, whether salary or business income, sales. You can automatically compute your income tax with, for sure, that is the correct amount of taxes or amount of withhold taxes, withholding
Mm.
tax for employees. So everything is there. It has tax calendar, it has tax calculator, it has tax alert if you want to know the updates or deadlines. And I'm very proud of the tax as the tax whiz feature, the chat, because it's an only chat and it's free. And you can
Great.
also file your income tax return. I guess that's the best part. You can use the
Yeah.
app to file your tax returns.
Wow. So go grab the app. You can download it, and it's free, as Mon said, on the App Store as well as the Google Play Store. Download it, the Tax Wiz PH. Mon, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I'd like to invite you once again to tell our listeners where they can catch you online, and of course where they can get your book now, your book that's already out, and where they can get your future book, even though it has no title yet. Please invite our listeners to do that.
Thank you, JC. I had fun, and even if there are interruption in the signal, we were able to survive this. So to all our
Yes.
listeners, if you want to know more about taxes with a smile, without getting irritated, so you can follow us. I have a fan Facebook page, Mon Abrea. You can also follow TaxWiz PH, TAXWH. Oh, it's there. TaxWiz PH Facebook page and Instagram for tax deadlines, tax inquiries. You can download the app. If you download the app, you can use all the features for free. And you can also follow Asian Consulting Group or consult.acg for those with BIR cases or BIR problems. We can help you without paying under the table, that you can end your problem. We can fix your problem for good, but still being good citizen. No under the table. You won't compromise your values. And our commitment is that taxes will never be your problem. So that's it. Follow us Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't do Twitter because they bash me all the time in Twitter, but uh, Instagram, Facebook, so you can get free tax updates. Thank you,
Thank
JC.
you, Mon. Thank you, Mon. And
And the
anyone you want
book,
to say
don't
hello?
forget the book.
Yes, get the
It's
book.
still
Get the book.
available, Lazada, Shopee.
Yeah. And any friends or family that you want to shout out, Mon, or any maybe informants that you want to reach out to and say hello to? Any shout outs that you want to give to your friends and family out there? Can you hear me, Mon? Hello? We might have lost Mon. But
Yes,
any,
yes, yes.
there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There we go. Friends and family that you want to say hello to, Mon?
Hello, everyone. Those who love me and those who hate me. Good night. I'll see you
Thank you so
tomorrow
much.
in Senate, Blue Ribbon
Yes.
Committee.
Thank you, Mon. We look forward to your to the results of the investigation, and we also, of course, look forward to having you here live in the booth in the future. And I'm sure by the time that we're here in the booth, I'll show you my hey, Mon, I paid my taxes. Look, I did it because of you. I mean, I was already doing, but now I'm even more vigilant. To all our monsters out there, I think you should do the same. Join us again next week for more hot conversations here on Heard on Thursdays. My name is JC Tevez. Have a wonderful evening, and always keep it locked right here on The Monster. Good night, everyone.
The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the